Hey guys, and welcome to the Igloo, and today we're going to be showing off one of these weapons called a two-shot explosive prime Gatling, and my opinion to be one of the most efficient uses to prime ammunition that I can possibly find in the game. And it could be one of the best weapons, personally, as a two-shot explosive, so we're going to get right into it. So first, this is a pretty god-tier weapon, and it has two different ones, which is two-shot and explosive. So if you have a level 5 demo expert card on top of everything I've put in my prior video for min-max building, you can probably have a god-tier tank build, and it's something that can be very viable, especially during Queens. Now, I gotta remind everybody about the damage bug right now until they fix it. The damage bug is whenever you do too much damage in a server, that it causes you to not do any damage at all. This can be triggered in a few different ways, but mainly the more shots that you fire, the higher chance that you have to get damage bugged. Again, I don't know exactly how it is done or why, but it's related to damage that you could be getting. So again, be careful about using this, but I choose to have two-shot explosives with slower fire rate weapons compared to higher fire rate weapons, including like the flamer. Like if I use a flamer explosive, I'm probably going to get damage bugged within like anywhere from a minute to like 2 minutes, especially if I constantly fire the flamer. So that's why I personally choose not to have these types of weapons in my store when I am doing my trades on Reddit and also trades on Discord and Facebook. So it can actually be a very viable thing. I try to stay away from that. I mean, I would have one in stock when they actually fix it, but I think that's pretty much one of the only things that's really holding up the game right now is the damage bug on the higher end of PvP. And what actually will hold the people's retention is be like, oh yeah, you're damage bugged. Okay, you gotta Alt F4. Wait, no, you gotta go into Task Manager now to close the game because Alt F4 doesn't work in this game as well. Just as a little bit of salt right there, but it's still something that it needs to be addressed. But getting into it, the two-shot explosive prime does anywhere from 1,000 damage base when I have everything spec'd out properly to 6,000 to 10,000 damage depending if I can use those cards that are in that video. So once I am shooting everything, I'm going around and about, I'm making sure I'm worrying about AoE damage on top of everything else. It is the most efficient use of ammunition for what you're going to be seeing on this Tinker Bench. 180 rounds when I'm using Ammo Smith and Super Duper can have the possibility to generate 360 rounds. Now, for prime ammo, this is very important because, one, this is because it requires Violet Stable Flux. Violet Stable Flux is only achieved in nuke zones and is a bitch to farm. Now, the reason why I say that this is one of the more efficient ways to use the actual ammo type in itself is because it is so gosh darn expensive. Because I am having a prime weapon versus an actual regular weapon. Now, if you're having a question about where's the prime weapon, what's different about it? You do superior damage to Scorched, and you do extra damage that is also superior. So, very important when you're going to be queen killing and you're not using a melee build on top of it. So, when you are damage bugged, make sure that you have a bloodied weapon to kick off if you're min-maxing, just like on how I do, to achieve the best effect that you could possibly have. So, after that, you have this. Whenever you're making it, compared to the 50 cal, you have to use the most amount of resources when it comes to the 50 cal. And it can be up to 40 steel and 10 lead, and then still the one Violet Ultrasight. Now that's expensive, especially when you're going to be making 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 rounds at a time, especially when you're trying to either solo duo the queen. But again, most of the time you don't want to prime a weapon that is not two-shot. You need at least bare minimum two-shot so that you have the most amount of efficiency in any type of weapon. That's why I highly recommend a two-shot in any regard. But the Gatling can get away with being a two-shot explosive because of one big factor. It is very slow to fire compared to the 50 cal. Now, some people have different reports about when they get damage bugged, how they get damage bugged, or whatever they do, or they only just join the server and then they do the queen while somebody else is farming the silo themselves, so that they don't have to worry about being damage bugged. Now, I don't mind on how you do with your group or however you have it. It's still to be identified that you're going to still have to worry about the damage bug, and you might need to possibly do it if you're doing a silo run. Then you're going to have to alt F4 as soon as you are done the silo, and then nuking, and then rejoin back onto the server. You must be a part of a team or have a friend on that server in order for you to join back in. You can't just auto join back into the same server that you were on because Bethesda. So after that is being said, and you join back onto your team after you alt F4, close the game from the task manager, you make sure that you are able to get back into the fight and get the queen. So when you're actually doing damage and you're min-max, you have Nerd Rage on, you at least got down once so that you have 50% more damage. You have Adrenaline on, so you do 64% more damage the more targets you kill, and you kill the mobs that are around the queen. You can maximize your damage to actually make her melt. Now, whether you're using the 50 cal or you're using the two-shot explosive prime Gatling, you're able to achieve better results. Now, I wish I had a two-shot explosive 50 cal in order to test this properly primed, because then I could actually give you results. But again, RNG is not always in my favor, especially with doing trades and everything else. So I can't really bring you that information today, comparing the two-shot prime Gatling versus the two-shot prime 50 cal explosive in those type of categories, because again, you want to compare apples to apples, like in my last video where I only had a two-shot 50 cal and a two-shot handmade. So when you're actually going and killing the queen, you can pretty much get everything else done. It makes it super easy in order to achieve your goals, especially with with actually killing the queen. Now, normally what I do after killing a queen is that I just collect and leave. I don't really need to worry about anything. Normally, I have a few other people collecting hard and mass because I'm mid-max and I want to use as little amount of ammo as possible. I want to be able to do the maximum amount of damage with using the littlest amount of ammo, because any kind of ultra sight ammo is extremely expensive, and this is why I only use that ammo for the queen. Now, it is extremely nice. Now, if you have the unprimed version of a two-shot explosive Gatling, I will have to say this. This is probably one of the most efficient weapons when it comes to it being in the game. Besides my two-shot explosive, now purchased after I made that video, harpoon gun, I was able to achieve anything. Like, honestly, that is the best weapon when it comes to farming, because you're literally shooting a harpoon gun and you're getting anywhere from 3 to 7 harpoons back, so you never need to worry about ammo. All you have to do is worry about fixing it. Again, a very good weapon when you're just going around killing everything. And I still have my Zealot explosive weapons, very effective still, on top of everything else. Even though you cannot prime the harpoon, dude, if I was able to prime the harpoon gun, it would be game over. I'd literally just be using that all the time. I wouldn't be using anything else, because I can do even more damage than the Gatling can, because it's crazy. I can be chunking the thing more than some melee builds while it's in the air, and that's completely crazy. But again, the harpoon gun cannot be primed, and I don't know if anybody will have prime plans. So, all in all, let's finish it up. The best thing that you can do for this prime two-shot explosive Gatling is that you should be able to make, with the amount of rounds, with ammo, and then super duper turned on 360. I would at least tie this with another two-shot, like 50 cal or two-shot explosive 50 cal. I still personally think the 50 cal is better per DPS, especially when you're trying to kill the queen, because of such slow fire rate that the Gatling has to offer. Because, again, when it's primed, you cannot have the speedy receiver on it. You cannot just crank it faster. No, it's primed, so you're going to have to crank it slow so you have your shot. Boom, 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 boom. Great weapon for when it's actually in the air. And a great weapon when it's actually on the ground, too. But, again, because of the slow fire rate, I can't really recommend it compared to a 2-shot explosive 50 cal, which I don't have, but I have a 2-shot 50 cal, which can still melt it pretty badly. Like, any weapon that you can 2-shot explosive would be better, but again, you still have to worry about being damage bugged even when fighting the queen. And another thing tied into explosive weapons is that you can't get close. With some things, like, I have to always jump all the time when it comes to a 2-shot explosive weapon, because if I just stand there and the mob is walking in front of me, if I don't have marsupial or I don't have a jetpack and I'm jumping and I'm trying to shoot right on the ground and do an explosive effect, I will die. I will die a lot. And there's just sometimes where I'm just rocking my 2-shot explosive harpoon gun and I'm dying, like, just randomly sometimes, and I thought I was safe, but no, I was not. So then I one-shot myself. And even if I have full health and I misclick or something and it's like in my face, I'm doing like 1,000, 2,000 damage, so I'm insta-killing myself even when I'm full health. So it doesn't matter at all with a 2-shot explosive. So again, probably one of the most best guns when it comes to ammo efficiency, but at the same time, it sucks with killing the queen. 2-shot explosive prime, personally, not one of the best. I would still recommend it over the Gatling laser, though. So if you guys like this kind of content and explaining the best weapons in the game, please leave a comment down below, and have a good one, guys.